Before we begin, subscribe to Inside Our World for more mysteries, forgotten places, and stories that still have no answers. Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering that an entire town had vanished. Homes abandoned, cars left behind, family photographs still hanging on the walls, but not a single person remaining. In this video, we're uncovering the mystery of the town that disappeared overnight. The truth begins with a place called Hollow Creek. In the summer of 1998, Hollow Creek was a quiet town of nearly 800 residents. Surrounded by forests and farmland, the town had remained largely unchanged for decades. Life moved slowly there. Local businesses knew their customers by name, children played in the streets, and most residents expected to spend the rest of their lives in the same community where they were born. Nothing about Hollow Creek suggested it would one day become the center of a national mystery. But on the morning of August 14th, something unusual began to happen. Streets that were normally busy appeared strangely empty. Several residents failed to report for work. Neighbors received no answers when they knocked on nearby doors. At first, few people were concerned. Most assumed families had simply left town for the day. But as the hours passed, investigators began noticing a disturbing pattern. Entire sections of Hollow Creek appeared completely abandoned. By sunset, authorities had begun counting the missing residents. What they discovered made no sense. Entire families had vanished. Homes were left unlocked. Vehicles remained parked in driveways. Meals sat untouched on kitchen tables. Televisions continued running inside empty living rooms. As officers moved from house to house, the number of missing residents continued to grow. By midnight, more than 300 people could not be located. The following morning, the number increased again. Schools remained empty. Businesses never opened. Churches reported missing members. Friends searched for friends. Families searched for relatives. Yet nobody could explain where the residents of Hollow Creek had gone. There were no signs of violence, no evidence of evacuation, no indication that anyone had planned to leave. It was as if hundreds of people had simply disappeared. 3 days after the disappearance of Hollow Creek's residents, investigators received an unexpected phone call. A sheriff from a neighboring county reported a similar situation unfolding nearly 60 miles away. The town was called Pine Hollow. Like Hollow Creek, it was a small and isolated community surrounded by forests. When investigators arrived, they immediately noticed disturbing similarities. Streets stood empty. Vehicles remained parked exactly where they had been left. Homes contained personal belongings, clothing, and family photographs. Yet the residents were gone. As investigators expanded their search, reports began arriving from other counties. One town became two. Two became four. By the end of the week, authorities were facing a mystery unlike anything in modern history. Entire communities appeared to be vanishing without explanation. And every new discovery raised a terrifying question. If people were leaving these towns, where were they going? 4 days into the investigation, authorities were running out of explanations. The disappearances now stretched across multiple towns and several counties. Search teams found no evidence of evacuation, no signs of mass migration, no indication that the missing residents had traveled together. Then, a satellite analyst reviewing recent imagery noticed something unusual. Every affected town appeared connected by a narrow corridor running through forests, farmland, and remote wilderness. At first, investigators assumed it was a coincidence, but the more locations they added to the map, the clearer the pattern became. The missing towns formed a nearly perfect line. The corridor stretched for hundreds of miles, and at the center of that line was a location that appeared on no official records. No town, no highway, no registered property. Yet satellite images showed signs of activity. For the first time since the investigation began, authorities had a destination, a place that might finally explain what had happened to the people of Hollow Creek.
2 days later, a team of investigators departed for the unidentified location. The coordinates led deep into a remote region, far from any known town or settlement. Satellite images suggested there were structures hidden within the wilderness, but no official records mentioned roads, buildings, or property ownership in the area. As the team traveled farther from civilization, communication became increasingly difficult. Mobile phone signals disappeared first. Radio contact became unreliable. Even GPS systems struggled to maintain a consistent connection. After several hours, the investigators reached the end of the last mapped road. Beyond it, a narrow path continued into dense forest. None of the team had expected to find a route there, yet tire tracks suggested someone had been using it recently. For the first time, investigators began to wonder whether the missing towns and the hidden location were connected. What waited beyond the forest might finally provide answers. Instead, it would create even more questions.
Following the tire tracks, the investigators continued deeper into the forest. The path narrowed with every mile. Dense trees blocked most of the sunlight, yet signs of recent activity became impossible to ignore. Fresh vehicle tracks appeared regularly along the route. Broken branches suggested heavy equipment had passed through the area. Then one of the investigators noticed something unusual ahead. Through a gap in the trees, a straight concrete wall became visible. It shouldn't have been there. The location did not appear on any map. No construction permits existed for the area. Yet as the team moved closer, more structures emerged from the forest. The facility was enormous. Concrete buildings stretched across several acres, hidden beneath the trees. There were no signs, no company names, no government markings. Nothing identified who built it or why it existed. But one detail immediately caught everyone's attention. The facility was active. Tire marks were fresh. Security lights were functioning. And someone had recently been there.
These tracks are fresh, maybe 24 hours
For investigators searching for thousands of missing people, it was the first real lead they had found. As investigators entered the facility, they expected to find employees, security personnel, or some indication that the site was still operating. Instead, they found something far more unusual. The buildings were completely empty. Offices remained fully furnished, computer terminals sat on desks, and lights continued to operate throughout the complex. Despite the signs of recent activity, there was no trace of a single worker. As the team moved through the facility, they discovered room after room that appeared to have been occupied only hours earlier. Coffee cups remained on tables, documents were left on workstations, and office chairs stood pushed away from desks as though people had suddenly walked away from their work. The deeper investigators searched, the more questions emerged. Eventually, the team entered the largest building within the complex. Inside, they discovered what appeared to be a central operations room. Covering one wall was an enormous map displaying Hollow Creek, Pine Hollow, Cedar Falls,
Oak Ridge, and every other community connected to the disappearances.
Each town had been carefully marked, cataloged, and linked to a larger network of locations. The discovery suggested that someone had been monitoring these communities long before residents began to vanish. Investigators soon noticed another important detail. At the center of the map, a single location had been highlighted and connected to every affected town. The location did not appear on public maps, government records, or property databases. However, documents recovered from the facility suggested that it played a central role in the disappearances. According to those records, thousands of missing residents had been transported there over several years. For the first time since the investigation began, authorities believed they had identified the destination connected to the missing towns. Within 24 hours, investigators began traveling toward the location marked at the center of the map. Unlike the hidden facility, this destination appeared on no satellite imagery available to the public. The only evidence of its existence came from documents recovered inside the complex. After a full day of travel, the team arrived at a remote valley surrounded by steep mountains. What they discovered there immediately explained why the location had been kept secret. Hidden within the valley was a massive settlement. Hundreds of buildings stretched across the landscape. Roads, homes, water towers, and power lines had all been constructed far from public view. But the most shocking discovery was not the settlement itself. Investigators recognized the people living there. Many matched photographs of residents who had disappeared from Hollow Creek, Pine Hollow, Cedar Falls, and other affected towns. The missing residents had not vanished. They had been brought here. As investigators spent more time inside the hidden community, they began interviewing residents and reviewing records recovered from the settlement. What they discovered challenged many of the assumptions made during the investigation. The residents explained that they had not been kidnapped, imprisoned, or forced to remain in the valley. According to their statements, they had been offered the opportunity to relocate years earlier through a private organization operating in secret. The organization promised housing, employment, healthcare, education, and long-term security for participating families. Many residents described feeling dissatisfied with their previous lives and believed the relocation program offered a better future. Over time, entire families chose to leave their towns and settle inside the hidden community. To maintain secrecy, all contact with their former towns had been restricted, and their relocation records had been removed from public databases. As more interviews were conducted, investigators found that the accounts were remarkably consistent. Thousands of people from different communities had voluntarily joined the program over several years. What had appeared to be a mass disappearance was actually a carefully organized relocation effort, hidden from the public. Although many questions remained unanswered, investigators finally understood why so many towns had seemed to lose their residents without a trace. The people had not disappeared. They had simply started new lives in a place the outside world was never meant to find. Although investigators had finally located the missing residents, one important question still remained. How had thousands of people disappeared from public records without attracting attention for so many years? The answer was hidden inside documents preserved by the community's founders. According to the records, every participant had signed agreements restricting contact with their former towns during the early years of relocation. Personal records were transferred into private databases, and many public references to the participants were gradually removed.
families who joined the program were encouraged to begin entirely new lives within the valley.
As investigators reviewed more files, a clear pattern emerged. The secrecy had never been intended to create a mystery. It had been designed to protect the community from outside interference while it was being built. However, the result was the same. Entire towns believed their residents had vanished without a trace. For years, missing person reports continued to grow, while the relocated families lived ordinary lives beyond public view. The investigation had finally uncovered the truth. The disappearances had not been caused by a criminal network, a natural disaster, or an unexplained event. They had been created by secrecy, isolation, and the decision to hide an entire community from the outside world. After completing their work inside the Hidden Valley, investigators began the journey home with thousands of records, interviews, and documents collected during the operation. Over the following days, teams carefully reviewed the evidence and organized their findings into a final report. The investigation confirmed that the missing residents had not vanished without a trace. Instead, they had voluntarily relocated to a hidden community that had remained unknown to the outside world for years. When the findings became public, families finally learned what had happened to relatives they had spent years searching for. For many, the discovery brought relief and long-awaited answers. At the same time, the investigation sparked debate about secrecy, privacy, and whether such a large relocation project should ever have operated beyond public view. Despite those concerns, investigators found no evidence that residents had been forced to participate. As the case came to a close, authorities concluded that one of the largest missing person mysteries in the region's history had finally been solved. The investigation ultimately revealed that the missing residents had never truly disappeared. Their whereabouts had simply remained hidden from the outside world for many years. In the end, the mystery was not about people vanishing without a trace. It was about how easily the truth can remain hidden when information is kept out of public view.